Arnold Schwarzenegger is the greatest bodybuilder of all time. Unfortunately, when he retired, he left us with these unaesthetic mass monsters and of course, these dorky optimal bodybuilders. I recently came across a video where he goes over his principles on how to train for mass. And because he's one of the best bodybuilders of all time, I decided to watch this video and give my reaction to it. Hi, my name is Rios. I have a Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science. And because I'm here to make fitness great again, I'll be going over Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding routine and what you should and shouldn't take from it. Before I get started with my reaction, if you're looking to build an aesthetic athlete physique and not a gross bodybuilder physique, be sure to check out my 90-day aesthetic body blueprint in the description.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, 28 years old, 6'2", 240 pounds. Mr. Olympia for the past 5 years. He is preparing to defend his title this year for the last time.
It's funny how this video starts off with them trying to make Arnold look like some sort of badass and like he's some sort of dominant fighting champion and he's about to defend his title for the last time against a crazy up-and-coming contender. Hearing the way they talk about Arnold makes me think he's about to go into the octagon and go to absolute war. But in reality, he's just about to go pose on stage with a bunch of other dudes.
It's gay. It's super gay.
I think that everyone knows when they get into training that you're not going to go and become a champion from one day to the next. But the question is, how can I speed up the process? The important thing is that you train the proper way, which is to train the basics. That if it is the squats, if the two-arm curl, if it's the bent over rowing, if it's the clean and the press, the bench press, the incline press, the dumbbell press, all of those basic exercises.
Arnold Schwarzenegger told optimal bodybuilders to go fuck themselves. This is literally what I preach all the time. In order to build your dream aesthetic physique and also athletic and functional physique, all you need to do is stick to the freaking basics. Not only is there recent research that shows no difference between free weights and machines in terms of muscle growth, but when it comes to athletic performance as well as the health of your joints, free weights are far better. It's crazy how former bodybuilders, who in my opinion are more aesthetic than the nerds and geeks we have now, used to spam foundational exercises. And now we have these nerds who spam machines or make these stupid adjustments to try and build 0.001% more muscle, even though it heavily decreases the functionality of an exercise.
And that's what you need to do, especially the last 3 months before competition. You got to shock the muscle, and shock the muscle with different kind of training principles. The main things, of course, in order to create size and to create muscle growth, which will sometimes the body will hit a wall. And what that basically means is that the body is saying, look, I know all your tricks. I know you're gonna start first with bench press. And then I know you're gonna walk over to the chin-up bar and do chin-ups. And then I know you're coming back to the bench press, and then you go to the chin-up bar and come back to bench press. I know that routine. I know exactly everything you do, and I am prepared for that. So you have to go and use the shocking principle.
This one gets a lot of hate, but I actually agree with it. But you don't have to be as dramatic as how Arnold Schwarzenegger does it. I've made a similar analogy to Arnold, but a lot of people get all mad and be like, oh, your muscles aren't that smart. It's like, use your critical thinking skills. Me and Arnold are not saying that muscles have some sort of consciousness and are super smart and understand what you're doing. Arnold and myself are just saying it like this to help your understanding of the concept. A better way to explain to you idiots that think that me and Arnold are saying that muscles have some sort of consciousness is that your muscles adapt to what you're doing. And your muscles respond to new stimuli really well. So it's important to change up your routine, which I do in the 90-day aesthetic body blueprint. An example is if you bench 225 pounds for 8 reps every single workout. At first, it might be kind of hard. Then it'll get easier. Then it'll get even easier, and then it'll just be super easy. Your body adapted to what it was given. And the same concept applies to your workout routine. This is why you always hear people say that whenever you reach a plateau, you have to change your workout routine. If I did the same workout routine for like 8 months, obviously I'm gonna plateau on my lifts. So you gotta make sure you're changing your sets, reps, and exercises to give your muscles a new stimuli. I change my programs, and the best strength and conditioning coaches in the world change their programs every 4 to 6 weeks for this reason. Because this time frame gives you enough time to progressively overload on exercises and improve, but you also don't hit crazy plateaus after your muscles adapt to the workout.
I think that the 3 exercises for chest that I have always done, the first year when I started training and the last year when I was training, is bench press, incline press in different levels. So to start low, medium, and high, and then flies. I mean, to me, the flies was an exercise that gave me the full pectoral muscle development, because I went all the way out and almost hitting the ground, And I was a big believer in expanding the chest as much as possible and giving that stretch, because remember, with muscles, the important thing always is to get the stretch.
I completely agree with Mr. Schwartz's chest training philosophy. Again, I see these stupid bodybuilders who try and act smart who have 4 to 6 exercises in a chest workout. It's like you only need 3, you dumbass. The only 3 chest exercises you need are some flat bench variation, an incline bench variation, and some sort of isolation cable fly. And speaking of flies, I don't agree with his obsession with dumbbell flies. While it's not a terrible exercise, the resistance profile is fucking terrible, and it's incredibly hard to load up. This is why I prefer a cable fly, as not only do you have tension at the end of the movement, but you're standing up, which is an added bonus, and you're able to adjust the height of the cables to emphasize different areas of the chest.
Bent over rowing with a barbell and the T-bar rowing. I mean, any kind of a rowing exercise that gives you the thickness. Those are the exercises I always rely to, again, from the beginning to the end. There's a lot of bodybuilders that have a kind of a deficiency when it comes to the lower back and to the striation of the lower back, which you only get from stiff-legged deadlift and from regular deadlift and from bent over rowing and all the stuff without supporting your chest. You got to let your body free and let the lower back hold you up while you're doing the bent over rowing.
Again, I agree with Mr. Schwartz here, and it's funny how he told optimal bodybuilders to go fuck themselves again. Optimal bodybuilders try and get the low back out of every movement, saying, oh, your lower back is a limiting factor. But if one of the best bodybuilders of all time said you should stop using chest support and actually allow your low back to stabilize your body, you should probably freaking do it. I always talk about how you shouldn't use chest support from an athletic and functional perspective, but it's crazy how Arnold is saying it from a bodybuilding perspective. Well, I think chest support rowing has its place in a full body or an athlete workout because your low back will be hit from deadlifts or squats earlier in the session. In a bodybuilding program, I think it's a stupid choice, and Arnold agrees with me here. So you optimal bodybuilders need to stop being lazy and stand the fuck up. One thing I did notice is that Arnold talked about a lot of rowing movements, but didn't mention any pull-up variations. I'm wondering if he just forgot to do it, because that's a pretty big mistake. When it comes to back development, you need to deadlift, do your fair share of horizontal pulling, and vertical pulling exercises. When it comes to training your back, you don't have to think about all the muscles like these stupid nerds do. They go, oh, today I'm gonna hit my lower lat, and then with this exercise I'm gonna hit my upper lat, and then I'm gonna hit my rhomboid. It's like even me coming from a physical therapy background saying this is way too much and you're being a freaking nerd. Thinking about hitting all the muscles of the back is just gonna confuse and complicate the process. It's better to think of the back as a whole, and then just make sure you're changing exercise variations to hit the back from different angles, and this will lead to complete back development. But in summary, Arnold's rowing philosophy is amazing, but you gotta do some freaking pull-ups, bro. I mean, that's just stupid.
Curls, barbell curls, absolutely essential to do the barbell curl to create the thickness of the bicep, to do the dumbbell curl on an incline bench, and to do the concentration curl. Because the concentration curl isolated the biceps with heavy weights, not with light weight, but with heavy weight, but to isolate it and to really concentrate and to create that peak on the outside of the bicep that you need when you do your back shots. The tricep was narrow bench press, a lot of narrow bench press in the early days, then triceps extensions down, and then overhead tricep extension with one arm and with both arms, and then also tricep extension onto a bar where you let the body, the head go onto a bar and press out in order to use your own body weight.
Again, Mr. Schwartz is using free weights. And of course, he's not doing these stupid adjustments that these fraud bodybuilders do nowadays. I think his description of the concentration curl is kind of dumb, but I do like how he hits the bicep from a variety of positions. With incline curls hitting the biceps in their most stretched position, typical curls hitting the biceps in a mid-range position, and the way he's doing concentration curls hits the biceps in their most shortened position. And he uses the same logic when it comes to the triceps. As long as the triceps extends the shoulder as well, so he makes sure he hits the triceps from a variety of angles. I personally like using cables for my tricep training as I feel like there's greater variety and I'm able to isolate them better. But since both cables and free weights have a stability demand, I feel like both are great options and you should do which one you prefer.
Shoulders, dumbbell presses, barbell presses in the front and in the back. I mean, we always did the rear press behind the neck kind of presses, the military presses, the dumbbell press, which was then is now called the Arnold press, because there was a certain way that was done in order to really create the stretch of the front delta and to come down with the elbow here, not just to here, but to come all the way down and then to rotate out and go up and to get that full flex.
Now, when it comes to Mr. Schwartz's shoulder training, I actually do disagree with a lot of the things that he does. I do like how Arnold does emphasize overhead pressing. There are a lot of bodybuilders like Saul Sulex who never overhead press. The overhead press has to be the most functional way to hit the shoulders, and it also does a great job building the lateral delts and the front delts with a higher emphasis on the front delts. He mentions that he likes to press in front of his face and behind his face, or do a behind the neck shoulder press, which is so stupid. Why would you do a stupid behind the neck shoulder press when you can, I don't know, press in front of your face? Not only does the behind the neck shoulder press put your cervical spine in an awkward position, but it's an unrealistic movement. I mean, imagine doing this in real life. You would look so stupid. Not only is this movement super awkward, but you'll be far weaker in this position versus pressing in front of your face. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no reason to be doing behind the neck shoulder presses when a standard overhead press does the job. This video also has a clip of Arnold doing front raises, which is a dumb exercise. If you have a proper training program, you'll be doing lots of overhead pressing as well as incline bench pressing and flat bench pressing. And all of these movements hit the front delts very well. Incorporating front raises into your routine when you're doing all of these movements is just overkill. It's like pouring water on yourself when you're in the pool. You're wasting shoulder volume on the front delts when a better thing to do is to increase the volume and emphasis on the side delts and the rear delts. Doing this will lead to balanced overall shoulder development and a more aesthetic shoulder. In terms of my opinion on the Arnold press, I think it's an okay exercise. One of the claims for the Arnold press is that unlike an overhead press, it hits all three parts of the shoulder. But this is not true. The thought process is that including external rotation at the beginning of the movement will lead to you hitting the rear delts so that the exercise hits all three heads of the shoulder, so the front delts, the lateral delts, and the rear delts. But last time I checked, gravity doesn't work horizontally. So this external rotation portion at the beginning is pretty useless. So just like an overhead press, the Arnold press hits the front delts and the lateral delts. If you enjoy the Arnold press and want to incorporate it into your routine occasionally, that's fine. But in my opinion, just standard overhead press variations are the way to go.
And then lateral raises, and especially bent over lateral raises on a bench. That is a 45-degree bench. This is a specialty that I've learned at Vince Gironda's gym. And he had this cutout on the face where you could still breathe, where you don't have to look sideways, but you can breathe. But it is 45 degrees, and to turn your wrist outward like this, and it is a fantastic rear deltoid exercise.
Arnold's rear delt exercise freaking sucks. He promotes doing a rear delt fly on a bench. It's like, do you really need a bench to stabilize yourself, buddy? This isn't too bad because at least he does his rowing standing up. But in my opinion, a cable rear delt fly is a way better alternative. It's literally the same movement as a dumbbell rear delt fly, except you're standing up, which makes it more functional. And the position of the cables allows you to match the orientation of the rear delt fibers and pull apart at like a 45-ish degree angle. In my opinion, this is the best exercise to isolate the rear delts. And face pulls are another great alternative.
Squats is, I think, the most important exercise to create thighs, big thighs. Squats, rear squats, front squats, leg extensions, lunges, stiff-legged deadlifts, or good morning exercise with stiff legs, and a lot of leg curls. Then we sometimes, in order to shock the body in the muscle, we would switch from squats to leg press, to just load up the leg press machine and do a lot of leg press and stuff like that.
Although Arnold does his fair share of leg machines, which does make me sad, he does seem to prioritize ground-based free weight leg exercises and just supplements with leg machines, which is okay. I personally like to just exclusively use ground-based free weight leg exercises as they're far more functional and will transfer to sports and real-world activities far better than stupid leg machines. But if you're like Arnold and prioritize ground-based free weight leg exercises and just use machines as extra work, you won't go to jail and I won't hunt you down. But you have to prioritize ground-based free weight exercises. Not only do they hit your legs really well, but exercises like the squat and the deadlift have to be the best way to hit your core. I mean, there are even numerous studies that say that heavy compound exercises like the squat and deadlift hit the abs just as well as isolation ab exercises. So yeah, even though Arnold does use his fair share of leg machines, he's still way better than these fucking dorks we have nowadays. I mean, these guys say that the squat and deadlift are bad bad and that there are too many limiting factors and that you should only use machines. It's like these guys are such soy boys that they have the core strength of a cinnamon stick.
There will be regular ab training that we did for abs, which is just leg raises with straight legs, leg raises with bent knees, sit-ups, Roman chair sit-ups, which gives you the 500 reps, which was an absolute necessity and we all believed in, and then crunches.
Mr. Schwartz's approach to abs fucking sucks. Firstly, he only does dynamic ab exercises, which isn't terrible because at least he does his fair share of standing exercises, but he only hits his upper and lower abs through sit-up variations and leg raise variations and ignores oblique and back extensor exercises. When it comes to obliques, there's this ridiculous claim by bodybuilders that, oh, training obliques will make my waist bulky and unaesthetic. This is a stupid, irrational fear, and I actually think that training your obliques does the opposite. I feel like developed obliques actually gives you the illusion of a smaller waist because of those lines it creates. I mean, Leon Edwards, who competes in a rotation-heavy sport and does a lot of rotational training, happens to have some of the most developed obliques I've ever seen, and I actually think it plays a massive part in why his physique looks so impressive. And the other issue with Arnold's ab training is that he doesn't hit the back extensors. And you might be thinking the back extensors aren't part of the abs, Martine, and you're right. But training your abs and not training your back extensors is like training your chest and not training your back. Only training your abs and not balancing it with back extensor work can lead to muscle imbalances that can lead to back problems in the future. So it's incredibly important to balance your ab training with back extensor training. Overall, I actually really like Arnold Schwartz's approach to bodybuilding. Although there are many things I disagree with him on, not everybody's gonna agree on the best way to train. Everybody has their preferences and their own philosophies. And I do respect Mr. Schwartz as he made bodybuilding cool, but unfortunately these dorky optimal bodybuilders made it for nerds. Arnold Schwartz definitely trains different than Jimmy Butler, who does a bunch of different exercises and trains like an athlete.